Coleridge told a story about abandoned cities. The philosopher Plotinus had heard about the deserted colonial settlements on the edge of the Roman Empire. He approached the emperor to inquire whether one of those ghost towns might be turned into a philosopher's camp. All it would need was books and scholars, and the old wasteland might be turned into a new utopia. But the philosopher's project went nowhere. Who would feed the philosophers once they were there? Coleridge, too, was involved with a brief plan to plant a scholars' settlement somewhere in the New World, but no one could figure out how to make it sustainable either. In the end, both fantasies ended up in the same place as the dead societies they hoped to replace. They were victims of history, consumed by the difficulty of the task. At the Detroit Book Depository, the books were heaped in mildewy piles. Their covers were faded. The white pages were stained with big purple blotches where the dye from mimeographs had soaked through. I recognized some of these titles: Journeys and Caravans, the books with which I'd learned to read in elementary school. They had the same color-drenched covers, the same dull-as-dirt exercises, but here they were transmuted by mold and weather into something new. Sometimes their pages would come loose, and they'd reassemble into new anthologies. Quarter zooms of maps, excerpts from Charles Dickens, and finished the sentence composition exercises were blown next to each other into their own choose-your-own adventure. The spookiest rooms were the ones where whole piles of books had blank pages. I assume those were the older ones. Librarians and teachers had warned us about acid paper, I know, but I still wasn't ready for it. Here it was, the evidence of a profound and unplanned obsolescence. Acid was eating away print on top of the page, and even while the paper lasted, the pages had become blank, as if human memory had been wiped clean in order to make room for some new writer to document his ideas. This place gives me a kind of vertigo, historical vertigo. I mean, think about all the work that went into one of these books. There the author was, writing as if all those abstract ideas were going to change the world. They finally secure a publisher, and then a contract, and then, just as they imagined changing the destiny of wide-eyed 13-year-olds in Detroit, this happens? There was a pile of typewritten script biographies of Martin Luther King and handbooks on celebrating the spirit of Black America with recommended exercises for puppet theaters. Some local organization back in the 1970s had ideas about how young Black children in Detroit would grow up singing Black spirituals and reenacting the life of Rosa Parks in interpretive dance. And everything would be different one day. Somehow instead, all that work, all those manuals ended up here. You have to wonder. Sometimes the acid had eaten away not only the type, but also the layers of the pages. Water and acid together sorting pages into different fates. Some of them becoming thinner and thinner until they flew away or disintegrated into air. Some of them bonding together in thick black stumps of paper imitating rock until they would become soil. As if the Detroit Book Depository were a sign of things to come. What was going to become of all printed knowledge? What was going to become of all human institutions in the future? All we knew was that the future was a new place, and it wasn't much like this one. The decomposing books turned into soft black hummus, which compressed beneath our feet like forest soil. Books were turning into trees, and when the wind blew, leaves of trees and leaves of books would fly around together. It was as if the future of books was some transubstantiation into different form, like the books were going ahead of us into the afterlife, like our books actually knew more than we did about the nature of fate, as if books could turn into trees, turn into books, turn into trees in a never-ending story of life.